Hey, it's Navid here, and in this session, we are going to talk about how to boost your creativity with AI as a creator. And specifically, we will get into some unique use cases, like how to create professional looking backgrounds with AI. Like if you're doing video, I mean, this is real here, as you can see, but you can also, maybe I wanted another plant or something. So we're gonna get into some good stuff on how to use generative fill and things like that and do a demonstration. We are going to get into some other use cases on how you can create YouTube thumbnails. We'll get into some myths and misconception and a whole lot more in this session. And I'm here together with Celeste Yamile, and she's a Mexican creator living outside of Mexico City, actually. And I found her on LinkedIn when I did some searching for different creators in the AI space, and she was creating really, really good content, really actionable. So I invited her on for this session, and now we are here and we're gonna share some amazing value with you. So warm welcome, Celeste.
Thank you. Thanks a lot for being here. It's a pleasure for me to share the passion that I have for content.
Yeah, absolutely. And we were talking a little bit in the pre-chat about how we can make this more unique. So I think we have some really good stuff for you here. So, but before we get in there, so for people who don't know who you are, give us a brief introduction and how you got into the world of AI.
Sure. So I was a video editor and then I become a content manager. So I realized that the workflow, both for video, for the creation of content could be much more easier and faster and with higher quality with AI. So that's why I stepped into that and all in. And I started even creating my business around it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what have you have seen a lot over the last couple of months. What tell us a little bit more about kind of your journey into this and how it was like creating kind of the certain things you have seen like in the AI world, especially since you're hanging out a lot on LinkedIn and there's a lot of different people creating about AI and other useful topics there.
So on LinkedIn, it's pretty common that you see stuff that doesn't really work because people think that just by uploading prompts and prompts in a carousel or different use cases, that can work or different ways even of how to build a business with AI, how to become rich with AI. But even if that works with the time, it's just not useful. And people notice that. So when you create actionable content that others can use, and you really create those workflows that are useful, people also notice that and they respect you. So creating content, I learned my lesson that creating content is not just to create things that go viral, but to create content that helps people because they really appreciate that once they realize that the hype thing like doesn't work.
Yeah, and how did you find your audience and I guess tribe and people following you? What were some strategies you used, with AI or not with AI? What helped you in the beginning?
No, not with AI, definitely, because LinkedIn really punishes you when you
Mhm,
act like a robot.
mhm.
So, um, yeah, I found my audience by just researching, like if it was a job search. And then once I found the community on LinkedIn there, what is pretty nice is that the community is small. So every creator like kind of supports you and engages with your content. And then everything expands around the network. Around everything because the algorithm works that way. So
Yeah.
it was
No,
definitely just by approaching your the fellow creators. And I think that this is really important because when you start creating content, you think that everyone is your competitor. But on LinkedIn, if you don't have that network, because it was make to make connections, right? If you don't have that network, you don't have friends. You literally like have low chances to succeed on the platform.
yeah, I like that. And I think that's why when I started out, LinkedIn was like a pretty spammy platform. That was like 10 years ago. I think
Mhm.
LinkedIn has improved a lot. And now it seems like it's pretty supportive community and people are like commenting on each other's posts and things like that. So I do like that. But I'm sure we get back to a little bit how you do create content for LinkedIn in a bit. But first, let's get into some myths and misconceptions about using AI in your creator business? Like what are some things you have seen? Like I'm sure you see a lot of different creators. Some are better than others, right? In terms of
A
maybe
lot.
leveraging AI and things like that. So let's get into this.
Once you're in this space, you realize that AI can't replace you because you need to put your own touch to that. And but the people that start with the technology think that AI can replace you, and that's kind of the hype. That's how the titles that go like viral are because of that reason. Because they said, "Oh, AI is going to replace us," because of that fear. But it's not really. The way that AI works is that it's a probability, right? Well, it's based on probability. It's that model that it follows. So it's like when you are in your keyboard, right? I mentioned that you have this um, different ways to complete your sentence because the keyboard is trained with your own behavior. For example, if you write, I like eating, you can have, I like eating pizza or I like eating ice cream because like the AI already knows you. And that's the same with ChatGPT because it's trained with the information in the internet. It's not actually taking the information and putting it into the chat as a summary, but it's actually calculating the probability that it has to complete to complete a sentences, to complete sentences. That's why it has that kind of animation. And the second one that I just wanted to share with you also was the part of the anthropomorphism, which is like the fancy word to say that we like to put a human touch in everything. That's why uh, the magazines or internet likes to tell you, "Oh my gosh, AI can't have feelings," but it's not really like that because it's all about a model that it's trained on, and that right, so at least right now we have the ability to control. And that was the reason that uh, we want to put like shape into the clouds. Or I also mentioned to you that that's also the reason why kids like to put a smiley face into the sun when they draw. And yeah, those are both of the myths that
Yeah,
those.
no, that's awesome, and I think something that's interesting is that people are, a lot of people are not putting the human touch when they are using AI. And another thing is that they are expecting AI to do magic right off the bat, without much instructions. I use the analogy of the intern that you hire in your business, or even any employee or contractor. Even if they're more advanced, you need to give instructions, you need to give feedback, you need to like tell them what to actually do. If you just tell them write a blog post about this topic, it's probably not going to come back the best way unless they are really good at this. Maybe they are like Neil Patel or Brian Dean or something. Okay, they can do it. But if they don't know your brand too much or they don't know what you're about, and you're just giving them just a keyword or something like that, they're not gonna do that well. Or same with the social media. So you have to train them a little bit. The same with AI, just kind of going back and forth. That's why I feel a lot of these prompt packs with like 10,000 prompts,
Of
they're pretty
course.
useless, to be honest. Like
Of
in a way, I mean, they have its use case. I'm sure some can get you good results to some extent, but if you learn how the model works, I think this is the most important. I think also we are moving away a little bit from this prompt world. I think we are going into more promptless AI, which like everything is behind the scenes, and we're even seeing this with a developer day with the OpenAI. They basically announced that it's we're gonna have like these GPTs, so you can create these agents that execute kind of tasks for you, which you can create anything essentially. That's kind of I think that's more in the future. Like we are going into that, and this is already here now. So I think that's why I think like the prompts and stuff like that. You just need to learn how it works to speak to AI. So what's some things you have seen? Maybe some mistakes you see others making. Maybe some mistakes you made in the early days, Celeste.
This is exactly that. Using the prompts that everyone puts out there and trusting that they will work when you don't. And when I was creating content, it's a learning curve. So I realized that even if I had the prompts and I was creating the content, I thought that because I had the prompts and the content looked like reasonable to me, it was good content.
Hmm.
But if you don't have the skills to review what AI did, you're just basically producing trash. You need the skills to review. If you don't have the skills, then everything goes to waste.
I love this. By the way, this is the one of the most important things I think when it comes to AI or anything. Like
Well,
in order to see what an epic blog post looks like, I mean, you need to know what an epic blog post is. You cannot just trusting AI. AI is not. They're gonna say, okay, they can give you feedback on certain things. Like if you have a blog post and you tell it to break it down, it will do it for you and it will do a pretty good job. But you still have to know what does an epic blog post look like. Is that something ChatGPT just if you give them like a blog title, that's probably gonna be a crap blog post just to get that back, or like a crap LinkedIn post or something that is not gonna get any connection. But if you, let's say, break down, let's say you start by breaking down some of the popular posts on LinkedIn, like let's say Justin Welsh or someone pretty famous on there, and then you start to analyze what's working, and then you write in this format, but for your audience with your voice. I think that works. I think that is a
Yeah.
good use case. For example, that's how I use ChatGPT and AI tools a lot. But I like to add my personality because otherwise, what's the point, right? Everyone sounds the same.
And this is really important. There's actually a fancy word in the techie industry to refer to that, and it's RAG, retrieval augmented generation. That's just about giving the AI your voice, your type of content information, because it produces hallucinations. ChatGPT has this term that hallucinations. And it also has this other term that is bias sensitivity. So OpenAI has been working really hard on this, but it can be telling stuff about the skin color. It can have differences because of that. It can have differences because of your nationality. So in order to avoid these hallucinations, you need to train it with your content, with your voice, with examples. Um, so
Mm,
that's another important thing to
Yeah, the
mention.
hallucination, that's an interesting one. I spoke to Amar of Victara. He's amazing. And he basically, I mean, his tool is more for enterprise and people using it in the background of their companies. But what's interesting is that he spoke a lot about that, and I think you have to understand that that's a real thing. Like you have to train the model, and like you can upload your knowledge, and for example, his platform is a little bit better at that. I mean, that's kind of what they are known for. They have less hallucinations than other platforms. I think OpenAI, ChatGPT, they get quite a bit of that, which that's why you have to understand if it does hallucinate, you have to kind of understand how to get it on the right track and things like that. I mean, that's the main thing. It gets things wrong, can get facts wrong and stuff like that. You can also make up things like sometimes to just like fill out certain things, which is kind of kind of annoying, but you have to just understand that this can happen. It's at the end of the day, it's a robot, and it's like predicting, as you said in the beginning, it's like predicting like the words that's gonna come, and that's why it can get it wrong sometimes. But I do think that's gonna get a lot better, especially with the new stuff that they are
Yeah,
releasing.
it's actually not a problem. It's not a problem not right now. The only problem is like if you don't know how to control that,
Exactly.
because your skills on creating prompts are actually the skills that you need. Okay, so now is the era of trying to understand how ChatGPT works, of
Mm.
trying to understand the model and understand the strategies. For example, I can give you a quick example. There's this thing called overfitting. So just go out there and give ChatGPT an instruction. Really simple. And if you don't know how to control it, it's gonna give you like the Bible. It's gonna give you a super long text. And this is called overfitting because you're not telling ChatGPT, oh, give me this explanation in one sentence. So just by saying, give me that in one sentence, you actually can control the problem of overfitting. And
Interesting.
there's these different problems that have this technical name,
Why
but there are a lot,
why
and you
do
can
people
control
don't
them.
do it? I'm wondering because that's normal behavior when you're speaking
Yeah.
to like someone in your business, like, or an intern, as I said before. It's like normal behavior to actually give an explanation. If you want something in one sentence, or if you want it in a table format in 3 columns or whatever, you tell the intern, I want it in this format. But sometimes when it comes to AI, we don't do that. And also, like, the other thing is if you give too much information, can also get confused, right? If you like conflicting things, so you have to make it really clear. And that's why I believe, like, if you just know how to speak to it, like, and actually giving the things the things you want, you're gonna get pretty good results. But speaking of that, like, what has worked for you, Celeste? Like, in terms of, I mean, prompts and things like that. I think the most prompt hacks are useless, as I said. But
Yeah.
learning how the AI works, what has like worked for you with ChatGPT or other tools when you're speaking to the AI?
When you're speaking to the AI, you need to have a structure. And as you said, it's basically just have the clear understanding and also a clear output in terms of format, for example.
Mhm.
And they're really specific techniques, but it's just about making yourself clear. Oh, and one that really works is about making ChatGPT interview yourself. Like, hey,
Oh,
uh, I need to create this. What information, what things do you need from me? Or there's this other thing that you can, if you want to learn really how to prompt, you need to search for this. That is reverse prompt engineering. That is just another fancy word, but it helps you to put a text and then it gives you actually the prompt, not otherwise. I mean, normally you will have the prompt and then you will have the text, but you have the text and you get the prompt.
yeah, no, this is interesting. I like that because it's like interviewing yourself is a great way as well. Like there's different ways of doing prompting, right? So you can start with like a prompt. You can have open ended. You can have closed. So you can have like I like the interviews as well, and also it's ChatGPT or an AI is great for learning information as well. If you don't know about email marketing or a specific topic, you can go through a series of questions and you can ask ChatGPT like, what do I need to know about this topic to become a master at this? Or you can
And
I use sometimes the act like an expert copyright. I mean, this is pretty straightforward, right? So I think these things work really well. Or like if I want to do a podcast interview and I didn't have time to research everything, I can like say, hey, you're an expert podcast interviewer with 10 years of experience. Write the questions like Joe Rogan if I wanted to sound like him, but I
that,
so yeah, so different
that,
ways of doing it.
that part of act as and then give a role really helps AI to understand what it's going to do. And at the
Mm.
end, there is another study that came up from DeepMind that tells that if you take a deep breath and work in these problems step by step, just by adding that, your your outputs are going to be much, much better.
I do this all the time with a deep breath, and also the other thing is to being kind to the AI. I know it doesn't have feelings per se, but if you treat it as a human and you're saying like, "Please, can you do this?" and thank you for your hard work. I don't know, it's something about it, but you tend to get like better results. I don't have like stats on this really, but I do think it. I mean, I just prefer it. We're gonna have like a better, more human AI if you do that, I think. So let's be nice, right?
Sure.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about the creativity part because I think my opinion is that AI can obviously help enhance creativity quite a lot. Like some people in a different school might say, AI hurts creativity and things like that if you're like a photographer or videographer. But I think it's just a helpful tool because there's so many use cases now with tools that you may already be using in your business that adding AI features. So I think that is like just like, in Premiere Pro or a Photoshop, they're adding things that can just make you more creative as a creative that is doing like very creative work, right? There's different levels of it, I think. So speak to that a little bit. What you see and how AI can really help with this.
Yeah, usually I see a lot of people, myself included, that you think you're not creative. But when AI came, it actually like made creativity and knowledge accessible to everyone.
Mm.
Uh, and one of the things I love is that, for example, if you don't know how to be creative, you can just ask AI how to do it. And I have this. Here it comes an interesting use case that is how to build thumbnails for YouTube.
Yeah, let's go into it and show people how this is done because that's what I said in the intro. We're gonna show some different use cases. So let's get into this segment of this session now. Let's do it.
So here, let me see. You need three things for this specific use case. One, it's Canva, just to put the final image and adjust it to the size. So you can just search for a template that has for example, this template that I use is just called Red Colorful Tips YouTube Thumbnail. So you can have the size. And here is when things get interesting because I took two YouTube videos that I thought had a lot of room for improvement. So, for example, this is one for Disney. It says, Disney new AI robots are way too advanced. But it's like, I mean, it's Disney. It can be really colorful, right?
It's kind
And
of bland, to be honest. Like it could be a lot better. Like I would expect something better, especially when it's a robot, right? You want something like more exciting. I think this is like white, could be.
And then
Yeah.
this other one tells AI spy shows how to destroy the US in a day. Here. But I mean, if I see the thumbnail, here it says ChatGPT 5, AI spy. Okay, but this is not a spy, right? So I thought, maybe room for
Okay.
improvement. But I love these videos actually. So are
Yeah.
you ready for the final?
Yeah. Let's get into this. I think this is a really interesting use case, and you can do this in different ways. You showed me, so we're gonna show you a free way of doing. I mean, you are using Canva. You can have the pro plan to get a lot more, but I think for this use case, you can even use the free plan. I think.
Just size. I mean, it's just size. It
Yeah.
just. But this one, it's my last result. Uh, the end result for the one for Disney,
I think
which
this stands out. I think this
is
stands out really well.
really
Yeah.
colorful.
Yep.
And this one is the other one for the spy thing.
This is way
And
better than the results. And you use just free tools for this. I think that is the interesting thing. So let's show people how you actually do that from, what tools you use for it and everything in between.
sure. So let's go for it. It's pretty simple. You can use ChatGPT 4 for this. Actually, it's kind of better. But this is a free their free version of everything. So you just go to Bard, Google Bard. That's the tool that you need. And why do you need that? Because Google Bard is able to read images, right? So here you can see that I have the prompt. This instruction is one that works. So if you want to make this, you might want to take a screenshot for this now. And the prompt says, look at this thumbnail and title. And then I want it to make two things. The first one is to suggest me how it can be improved and the changes that are needed in this one.
Mm.
And the
If
second one,
ChatGPT cannot read, I think they can do certain things with images now, right?
and that's why I say it, that you can do it with ChatGPT 4 if you have it.
The 4, yeah, not with the free
Yeah.
one. Yeah, that's true. So with the 3.5, it is not included, but you can do it
Mhm.
with the paid plan in the plus. So which I still recommend it. To be honest, is really good.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's use Bard. I said Bard is good that you can do it in a free tool. So
I just wanted to make it accessible for everyone to
yeah,
try.
absolutely. And this is unique. So this is
You want
great.
to
Let's continue.
play. hmm And the second one, the second instruction is to craft an extremely detailed description of the thumbnail and an extremely detailed description. So I don't even need to think about how this can be improved. I only need to put this prompt, and then it's giving me everything. So here it says the thumbnail. Okay, the current thumbnail is like a bit generic. That's why it's telling me.
Yeah.
It can be improved by using brighter colors and more contrast, which is what I told you. Here is even giving me suggestions to improve the title, but I care about this, the extremely detailed description of a new thumbnail. So I just need to copy this, and paste it into this software, which is the technology of Dall-E 3. So this is the Dall-E 3 is inside of ChatGPT 4, but you can just go to the free website that is bing.com/images/create. This is a URL that you need to go to. And then you copy the thing that is here and you paste it inside. And then it's going to generate this crazy stuff that you can test and change, slide things around.
Wow,
And
this
there's
is
actually,
this is incredible. So you don't need to be that creative for this or even know that much about prompting or anything. You can just create something like that pretty easily based on the instructions because they gave you already they gave you kind of what to add to that, right? Like the
yeah,
Bard, which is pretty amazing.
he told me about the colors. He told me
Mhm.
about to put robots behind the main robot. He told me that the main robot should have the characteristics. And then I just added some stuff. For example, I wanted to add a castle, so I put that. And here's the magic formula if you want to create. As I mentioned, if you want to have good things generated by AI, you need to put your own touch into them. You need to put your creativity. So you just need to make sure to describe 4 things. And this is a secret formula. So you need to describe the style. You need to describe the subject, the main subject. You need to describe the background. And if you want, you need to describe the text and the text placement. If you want, like if you want it to be up, if you want it to be inside an object, like in this one, for example. This is one of the tests I did for the thumbnail that is actually here
Yeah,
too.
this is way better than the initial one, like way
Yeah.
better than the one they had. So I think this will generate more clicks. Even though we haven't tested it, it's pretty obvious which one is better.
Well, and this is the thing. I am not relying on my own creativity or on my own perception of stuff. I'm actually asking AI, and the AI is trained on the information from the internet. So it already knows what is working and what is not working. And I want to show you like what it looks like with the one for the spy. So first, with this prompt, what it happened is that it's given me suggestions for the thumbnail and the title. And then, as I said, here is extremely detailed description of the new thumbnail. So I just need to copy and paste this one here. But then it's also giving me extra suggestions, like some text I can add. For example, here it told me, yo, you can include the word danger. And that's what it did. And extra suggestions, additional suggestions, here it says, the thumbnail could be even more effective if you include a symbolic element, such as a crumbling American flag or a nuclear mushroom cloud.
Did Dall-E 3 come up with the danger text? They did it,
Oh,
right? Because I
it's
think I think Dall-E 3 is the best one with text, I think, right? I think
yeah,
Midjourney is not as good with text, at least from my experience.
it can, and it can. Look at this. I just added that to the prompt. I mean, this is the last prompt I did,
Yeah.
and it came up with
Just don't
everything.
do too much text. I think if you do a little bit, it's okay, but if you do too much, it can also like go get it wrong.
So that, and that's why in the prompt you can be specific. Just give me one word,
Mhm.
one single word that I can add into the thumbnail. So
No,
here it is.
amazing. And could you just a question? I know you can do it in DALL-E 3. Could you do this like with Canva's AI tools? Because we are inside Canva now. Do you think Canva
Uh,
is as good or you cannot really do it?
Not really. To be honest, not really, but I love Canva. I love Canva and the initiative they have to start including this. Because right now, the AI is the best and the worst that it can be. Canva
Yeah.
is working on this. It's not good, but it's because it's a baby. We can
Yeah.
be so.
I think certain things they are good at, like the things they added to their, they have the background removal features and things like that. But I think the generative AI features, right? And I think they are a little bit not as good. Like I think for me, I think Midjourney is by far the best one for most. If you want like photorealistic stuff, like if I wanted to make this like a realistic human, I would probably use Midjourney. Like,
Yeah.
uh,
And you can use Me Journey specifically if you want to be inside of the thumbnail. Uh,
that is interesting as well. I have someone else on the summit speaking about Midjourney, so I'm gonna tell them to take. Maybe I'll tell what's would be interesting to recreate a thumbnail that maybe I'm on and make it as photorealistic as possible. I think you can make it like as a photo shoot. Like you can make it like it look completely real in Midjourney if you know what you're doing, like with different prompts. It's even, but it's more advanced, right? You have to know the parameters and different things to add, like with the right camera lens and
yeah.
things. So it's a little more advanced, but I do like this for anyone who, I mean, I think this works for like if you have a channel, maybe not personality driven as much. If you have a personality driven channel, if you look at most YouTubers, they put their face on there, like 99% of the time. If you have a channel which is maybe faceless or maybe you are not behind it, I think this works really well to make it stand out.
Mhm. And this is the thing. This is just the beginning. And I wanted to share it because it's easy. Dall-E tree, it's really easy to handle. You don't need the crazy the crazy prompts there.
Yeah.
So that's why I wanted to share, because if you start playing with this type of use cases, then you realize that it's possible. And then you go out there and you try it with Midjourney with the mindset that of what you want to achieve, right? Uh,
No,
this is
no, but
just
I
it.
like this. And you just for the robot one in the left there, you just put the text with Canva, right? So the text there you put with Canva to just make it like with yellow and things like that. So that's pretty easy. You can take your font, just put this. I mean, they're so easy to use. I love what Canva is doing, and they are innovating pretty rapidly to add AI features like generative AI basically to the platform with like different image AI features. I think it's just gonna I think it's gonna be one of the better ones because it's gonna be the most accessible ones. That's what I've said earlier. Like a lot of tools that you're already using, they're adding AI into it. Or they already had AI, but they didn't promote it too much and now they are like mentioning it a lot. So that's also a case with a lot of like email marketing tools or landing page builders or whatever. They are just promoting it on the page or like adding more into it. Like maybe they can change the subject line with AI or like they can give you ideas and things like that or whatever. And I saw you also using a tool for Chrome. I have the same extension, I think Harpa, right? So you're like
Yeah.
when you, I saw it like pop up when you're doing this, like when you highlight text. It's actually the most clean one I found because a lot of other ones, they are too intrusive. I like that one that you just highlight and you can change things. So that one is pretty good. So anything else you want to share around this? Otherwise, we can continue on the use cases.
Yeah, just the final thing I wanted to mention again. No matter what tool you use, just follow the 4-step formula. Just describe your style. This style is photorealistic. The subject you want. So for example, if it has a glowy eyes, if what type of expression it has. The background. For example, here I put the flag in the background. I put the Disney castle in the background. And also the last one is the text. If you want the text, just make sure to put it into the comments and it's going to give everything, no matter what software you use.
Yeah, awesome. I really like this example. I'm sure if you're watching this or listening in, let us know in the comments. Like, isn't this pretty amazing? And I'm sure in just a few short months, this is gonna get even better. Sometimes it's like within weeks, it's like improving, right? So this is mind blowing. And then let's get into the next thing, which I'm really excited about because I'm doing a lot of video. Maybe I don't have a great studio like I have now. Not this is great. What I have right now, I think it looks pretty good. But if I didn't have this and I'm like in a pretty crappy place or I just don't have a nice background, how did we create that? Like now we can use the generative fill features in Photoshop and different things to actually generate this. And Celeste is going to demonstrate how you can do this. So we're going to get into kind of what you need for doing this and some things to think about as well.
So you only need an editing software. I'm using Premiere Pro because I'm more familiar with this one, but you can even do it in your phone with CapCut. You just need to have the option to make a mask. And you can search tutorials for this because I'm going to go fast in terms of time just to show you what is possible. So here we have a video of a girl really chilling in her room. And if we want to make the setup more interesting, we just need to take a screenshot, and Premiere Pro is with this option. And then you take that screenshot of the video, a specific part of the video, and you put it into Photoshop. That's how I have it here and now. And what I love about Photoshop is that it's now just possible to do it only with your imagination and a few clicks. So this is the original image. Okay, this is the
But
original.
Celeste, you have experience in Photoshop from before a little bit, but for this example, you don't really need any experience with Photoshop.
That's the
Like
example. No,
Photoshop was this daunting thing for a lot of, I guess, if you're not a photographer or like more creative, right? You probably use Photoshop. You would like lean towards something like Canva or these tools. But now Photoshop has added a lot of things, so it's easier with the
yeah,
generative fill. It's like with a click of a button, basically, you can add anything to a photo, which is what you're showing now.
yeah, sure. So you don't need to feel intimidated by anything here. You just need the lasso tool, this tool here. Once you select this, you can start saying, oh my gosh, I left my headphones here. I don't want it to be because my bed looks messy. So you just select them and then start typing here stuff to put generative fill. And then if you want to delete something, you just create generate. But if you want to put extra things, you just put a text here. Okay. So now we have, for example, we can remove it and it's gone. Now we want to add a painting in the back here. So here you need to write painting and it generates something like this. We want a fancy bag in this part. So you just select here and it generates something that is pretty realistic.
Let's add a plant to the background, a little bit greenery, right?
Yeah, it even matches the lighting and everything. That I think it's
Yeah.
pretty cool. Once you have it, you just export your image. And that's why I did here. I put it in the top. I select this And it's not going to move, of course, because it's an image. But here's when the editor that you choose is really important, because in Premiere, I can do this. I can create a mask around this girl. And you don't need to move, okay? From the place that you are in, you just don't need to move.
So you're just removing this basically, right?
Yeah, I'm just removing the space
Yeah.
a little bit. And I put invert. And now you can see that the headphones are gone. We have the bag, we have the painting. And yeah, this is how it's done, literally. Now I can play the video and the girl is inside with the new setup, which is crazy for me.
Wow. That's incredible. Have you used this a lot? Have you used this in some? I know your background is real too. I asked you before, but have you used this in real? Yeah, I think it's something we discussed as well. Was that you need to have the same lighting? So maybe the downsides of using this is that if you create a background like this, you need to have the same lighting in every video. If you can like replicate this, I think it's possible to just use the same to not go through the process all the time. I guess
Mhm.
that's one thing to think about if you are
Yeah,
doing this.
and it's pretty, it's kind of easy to do it.
It's quite fast anyway. You can do it. I mean, you can change the background to it, but usually you probably want some consistency. Usually, if you doing so, and it's a great way if you're traveling and maybe maybe I wanted to replicate this set, right?
Yeah.
And I've seen this with a few big podcasters. They're not using this, but they're actually replicating their studio in another location. Let's say they have in New York and they have one in London and different places on big podcasts, and they're making the same set in both places basically. And they're and they even make like a background like this. That's pretty cool.
I noticed, for example, Stephen Bartlett.
Yeah, I
Was
think him. Yeah. That was the example I'm talking about. I listen to his podcast all the time.
Yeah, and he was like, "Oh my gosh, the fake bookshelf at the back." It,
Mhm.
but he has different studios in different places. So that's crazy.
That was a backdrop, I think. They made it. That was not in this way, but it was not real. So, but because of they using good cameras and stuff like that, you get some depth, and then it doesn't show on the video. Like in video, you can fake a lot of things, you know. So
It's really interesting, and I don't want you to think that. Well, if you're listening to this, I don't want you to think that you need to make this, and right now it's the only thing that you can do. I'm showing you this because these are the possibilities. Just to see that your creativity can do a lot of stuff. So, for example, if you're recording, for example, YouTube Shorts or shorts, reels, short pieces of content, and you're batching content with one day, you can have the same background, and you can have like 10 videos with that background. Then you change the wall, or you could just fake that you're in different
it's like
place.
the opportunities are really endless. You can do a lot of things with this because I do like batching content or creating more pieces of content in one sitting usually. So I don't need to do it all the time. And also that's why also I enjoy creating longer pieces of content like this because from this we can create. Yeah, I even mentioned to you, I can cut up different segment of this and post it. I can put it as a blog post, like some, maybe the tutorial. I really like the tutorial with the generative fill, right? So I could post that, and I can cut up a lot of things. I think that's long form content is really underrated. But whatever platform you start at, I think is good in a way that you produce more pieces of content in one sitting, so you get more out of it essentially. Especially with the set, can look same, and you can like produce a lot of pieces of content, and then you can repurpose that into the different platforms. Which brings me into how you are doing things for LinkedIn and like as a creator. I know you are mostly active there, but I'm sure you have been thinking about getting into other platforms too.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because I usually upload videos into LinkedIn, and my audience, like many friends, tell me, "Hey, you should start a YouTube channel."
I
Uh,
think so. Like now, let us know in the comments. Should Celeste start a YouTube channel? I think she's pretty good at
yeah,
explaining things. I must say. So why not?
yeah, but I'm basically using it specifically for uh, creating assets. So on YouTube, it can be I'm using Dall-E tree for the thumbnails, but I'm also using this to create assets for the carousels that can be the same as carousels for Instagram. Kind of.
Oh, interesting. Like, tell me about this process. I love the carousels on LinkedIn for the reason that you can do like a lot of slides essentially. I think on Instagram, for example, you can do carousels as well. That's probably where you heard about it first. If you're on social media, then you can have 10 only. and the attention span on Instagram is not as long as on LinkedIn. So in LinkedIn, the people are going through every carousel. I have checked a few because they have tools or different things. So and I know you have posted a few as well, and they are doing pretty well, right? So what goes into a really high performing carousel, and do you use AI tools to kind of come up with certain things on there and to create it?
So I think I can share with you some of my carousels.
Yeah.
And let me share my screen. Here is my beautiful LinkedIn profile. So here are the carousels I have. I go to documents, and you can see this. For example, 3 uncommon techniques to use ChatGPT. And you can see that this is a cute robot, right? On LinkedIn, what it works really well is to have a branding and to have a personality, as I said, because it's only text. People need to relate to you in some way. So my branding, how I want people to perceive me, it's in a clean style, and my brand color is blue. So I have this
Nice.
robots in color blue, and
Just a question regarding format, because I think I've seen on LinkedIn you can do this tall format. It's not exactly story. It's not like a real format or story format. I think it's a little different, but I think it still takes up a lot of space. So this is is this the advice? Is the best format for LinkedIn to do this more tall format than square? I've seen some square ones as well, but
yeah,
I think it just
it's
fits more
right
tech.
here. Have London Square. Okay, you don't need to think a lot about it. Okay, if
Mm,
your company is good, it's going to perform good, no matter what. Even I have a post that my design it's awful, awful.
really? Okay.
Yeah, but because it was when I was starting, but people really like it because of the content and because of
Yeah,
comfort.
content was good, right? I think it's important with the branding and design if you can. I think it's got easier with tools like Canva. You don't need to like have a crazy
Yeah,
ugly design, but of course, it gets better with time as well. And
it's
I see like go through some slides to see what you do. How many slides do you usually have on yours?
15. The algorithm usually tells that you need to have around 20. But for example, this one here, it's also a
Okay,
girl.
that's really interesting. So 20 on LinkedIn. So that's like double on than Instagram. I mean, you can have fewer as well, but the algorithm might push it more if you have more in-depth content.
But this is the crazy thing. There are carousels with 50, with a lot, and people like them. It's like, oh my gosh, a lot of content in one place. They like them. I
Yeah.
think the platform
I
is
think it's
pretty.
because LinkedIn, the creators on LinkedIn or the people hanging out there, they're like, wow, because they like more epic content, like real effort. Because people, if they see 50 slides, they know people put effort into this. And you don't do this in 10 minutes or something. It's actually, it takes some time to put it together with or without AI.
Oh, for example, this is about Alex Ramirez.
Yeah.
Well, teaches from him.
Okay.
Yeah, I have friends up here.
Something I see with yours, you don't put your face a lot on your stuff. Is that a reason? I don't know. Maybe you should put your face a little, like you put something so they see it's like from you. That's what I would do for personal branding if I would do it for yours.
Should, but I like the creating the images because
Maybe you should have like a little headshot of you so people see you. I don't know if you put that on there. Some
I put that in the CTA at the end,
okay
but
in the CTA. Okay, but let's so so you create these images using the same method we did for the thumbnail.
and here, for example, what is really important is that this the way you want to be perceived. So you need to choose. My images are really inside of my branding. So my brand color, as I mentioned, it's blue. So I
Yeah.
include the main color. It's blue in the prompt.
Okay.
I also want that my characters have a round expression because I want them to look cute. So I
You
put
could probably include the color code as well, the hex code, like for this,
definitely
if you wanted like a specific blue or around this shade, right? So it doesn't because blue has a lot of different
this
kind
is
of
my data.
color. Yeah,
This is
different
crazy.
tones of blue. I mean,
Also, you can see the prompts here. I put cute robot looking typing at the computer. Okay, I'm describing the subject. I'm describing the main color. It's blue. I'm also describing the style that I want a cinematic lighting, and it's a 3D animation cartoon style. So this is my style. If I put this same thing through all of my prompts, the images will have something in similar. And also, I put that I want a white background. This is important because it helps you to remove the background really easy
Yeah.
when you put that
Yeah,
prompt.
in Canva you can do that with one click. So it's gonna be easier, less effort to yeah, no mistakes essentially. So much easier. Awesome. So what about for the content side of things? Do you use, I mean, of course you need to add your personality and things like that to it, but do you use AI like tools like ChatGPT to come up with certain things for what goes on the slides or to know kind of, okay, how do I structure this? For example, if it's 20 plus slides on a LinkedIn carousel.
Yeah, I use it to edit, mainly to check grammar, check different stuff, but also it helps me with strategies. I have one here that I wanted to share with you that is
Yeah.
basically growth hacking frameworks. And ChatGPT helped me to come up with these frameworks. So, for example, this is a framework, Pirate Funnel. So, this framework tells me that the objective is to optimize my content strategy in the terms of attract, engage, retain, share, and monetize.
Mm.
So right here, I'm using this prompt and I just need to change the framework in this part to this keyword, pirate funnel. And then it's going to help me to craft a strategy to grow my content and to optimize my content creation
And
stuff.
you post this in ChatGPT, like to get the info
Mhm,
to get basically the prompt is use ChatGPT mainly as your AI
mhm.
tool when you're doing like ideation or trying to come up with strategy and things like that, or do you use other tools as well?
Oh yeah, I like to use ChatGPT because I think when you know how to handle and how to master one, then that's when the magic happens because you can be all over the place with different tools. But
Hmm.
if you focus on one, you can be amazed by all the
Yeah.
ways that you can do.
No, that's great advice, I think. So the carousels I find really interesting because I think that's one of the best pieces of content on LinkedIn. What's some other things that you do on LinkedIn and how I guess how AI plays a role into that when you're creating your content I guess on a weekly basis?
On a weekly basis, I use it to create my content strategy, to organize everything. But this goes really into the prompts and how to handle them.
What's some other because we talked about this in the beginning with the mistakes and things like that. What's some more things people should think about when it comes to I guess the prompting side of things and like speaking to the AI? I think that's what some people get it wrong and that's why they give up. You know, they think like they just get garbage basically, or that this is not what they want to have, or they don't know that it's bad and they're posting it, they don't get any results.
Okay. If you want like a tip that you can use to create good prompts, it's really just try to generate it as good as possible. And then at the end, add, if you have any other questions of instruction of related to the context, then just ask me before you try to generate everything. And I find that this is really nice because I did it. I do it several times. And when I think that my prompt is good, ChatGPT usually tell me, hey, you know what? Can you give me more information about this? And you know what? This is not really clear to me. Can you be more specific? And then I'm like, oh my gosh, then my instruction wasn't as good as I thought. Because just because it's clear in your mind, it doesn't mean that it's clear for ChatGPT.
Yeah, I think also it's like it's interesting when it comes to the prompting and like because the AI is evolving so quickly. I think you like even if you're let's say you're starting now with this, just like playing with it and like getting used to it, using some of the things we have shared even in this session now, you're gonna be ahead of most people. I think that's also really interesting because even though you're seeing it everywhere, not a lot of people know how to use it well. That's the thing. I think people are just dabbling with it. Maybe they're trying something, but they're not taking the time to really master it and like play with the new features and using it in their business as an assistant. It's not a replacement. I think what's gonna happen is that people are who are leveraging AI, they're gonna get ahead, and people who are not leveraging AI, they are going to get left behind. And I think AI is gonna replace these people who are not actually getting to it and actually not embracing this new technology. It's always what we've seen in the history, like with the internet and things like that. The people who are negative, like what happened with Blockbuster, like Netflix, they took over, right? And it's gonna be the same in this AI revolution. I think a lot of companies are not embracing this or not quick enough. to like add this technology, I think they are gonna get left behind. I guess unless you're Apple or something, I mean, you gotta take it a little bit slow. They don't even speak about AI yet as we are recording this, but they have hired a lot of people. And when they released Vision Pro, they didn't mention AI, but there's a lot of AI built into this, and it's just really interesting. But that's usually how Apple do things, and I think Google is maybe a little bit slow with the BART as well. And it's like OpenAI is, everywhere. But I think a lot of these other players, they're going to do really well in the future because that's what we've seen in history as well. It's actually good with the competition. And just because you're a first mover, it doesn't mean you're going to be the one who's the biggest in the future. So yeah, I don't know if you have any insights on that as well. What's your
Yeah.
thoughts?
Apple is actually trying to work into the shadows, but they are releasing
Yeah.
the new chips, three something.
Yeah.
They're releasing the new chips to be able to handle all of this. And as you said, they have AI, but they just don't mention it really like deep. So they are good with AI already, but they are just thinking about the best way to market that.
Mhm. Yeah, and I think, for example, in Apple Notes, I mean, I have it. It doesn't have generative AI features yet, but I think that's also going to be a thing where they start adding this to everything in the Apple ecosystem. I think like the Apple tools will get it like the same way, like we will have this in, the Google ecosystem, like with the slides and different things. We will have it built in. I think that's how it's going to be. Like I think even with YouTube and platforms like this, they're going to have the dubbing and things like that. They're gonna have the different translations with AI and things like everything's gonna be like that. So you can maybe even listen to your favorite creator in your language, like in Spanish, for example. You could listen to Mr. Beast or whoever you like. And oh yeah, they're dubbing it right now or whatever. That's fine. But I think they can take it to the next level by having that. And I think that's gonna be natively integrated. Like now you can use 11 Labs and HeyGen, but the technology is more expensive to do it on long form content. I think if you have like a long video, it's going to cost you a lot to do this every week for like long podcast, but that's going to probably be at some point integrated into YouTube because that's going to help with retention and different things like that. I think because like if someone coming, let's say a Spanish person or like from Mexico, they're coming to my video, it's just English. They can check out the captions, but they might leave because they are not having it in their native language. I think that's what YouTube wants to
Yeah.
prevent. That people are staying there to watch it no matter the language.
You think it can be crazy because YouTube is already working with AI. They can make this. If they can make the same technology as 11 Labs or these other things. And just instead of changing the captions of the video, you change the language of the video.
No, I think that's what's going to happen, actually. I think that's what's
But
going to happen at some point. I think they might work with 11. I mean, depending on who has the best technology, right? Maybe they integrate that. Right now, as I said, it's like more expensive for the average creator to use it unless you just do short clips or something. Then you can play with it. It's kind of fun. You can
yeah,
train your voice. Even like with Descript, they have like a feature so you can clone your voice. But I would say it's like, depending on the use case, maybe 85%, you can hear it's your voice, but the tonality is not 100%, right? It doesn't have as much emotion. So they're reading it. It's kind of, if you have like a blog post, you can tell it to read it. It's fine, like for this use case, but I wouldn't use it for a podcast or something. But I do think these avatars is the future as well. I think that's gonna be really, really open up the doors for a lot of unique use cases and how you can communicate with your audience. For example, in paid products, courses, basically, even if you're sleeping, you can add information. So I don't know if you dabbled with this a little bit to check out,
uh,
the
yeah.
cloning part of things.
It's interesting because on LinkedIn, things work really different. It's like LinkedIn is a different world,
Mhm.
basically. Uh, People like value there. People are smart everywhere. You think that you can cheat people trying to give something with hype, but you can't. Maybe that can work in the short term, but you can have followers and gain followers, but you destroy your reputation if you do
Yeah.
that. So what I've seen on LinkedIn is that there are guys and girls that are actually using this already, because it's short form, and
Oh,
this is
really? They post themselves as an AI clone, basically in
yeah,
video form. Okay,
yeah.
interesting. They are
Was it
doing that.
this week? And she was like, okay, just judge myself because she is from Singapore, so she has a strong accent, and she tried to test this troll with her accent. And it's her voice. Of course, it doesn't have the accent, but it's good. And then another friend did a post that was similar. And she said, okay, I consume content that is in on English. That's my same case. But I am from this part of the world. My accent, it's weird. And people used to judge you for your accent.
Hmm.
So she described her whole story and how she really felt judged when she talks in English. But like her whole personal brand, it's in English. And he did her video, but it was with AI. It was with AI, and the voice was her. I think it was German. The original video was in German, but the video was in English. So she was able to express herself in a really genuine way without having this mindset of, oh, my accent, oh, my accent. So,
Interesting. Well, yeah, I think for if you're open, like if you're sharing with your audience, this is like AI generated. I mean, I think that's fine. I do think like the connection is kind of off, especially if you're doing it for social media when it's like about nurturing connections. But maybe in 2 years or sooner, we'll have this. Like, and we've already seen this with like Lex Friedman and Mark Zuckerberg and things like that. They're coming into a room and they're like have their clones basically speaking to each other, and they have a better connection in this form. So it's interesting what can happen, I think. But I do think still the human connection and things needs to thrive in an, AI world. I think that's important. But I do think you can scale yourself, like basically your customers and clients, and maybe you can have more support. You can have way less support tickets because you have, let's say, a chatbot or something like that, or
yeah,
like you have your knowledge base uploaded. And I think the next step of text-based support and things like that, when you're just chatting to someone, is when they see me. Hey, this is Navid here. I'm just gonna share the answer to how you host a virtual summit or something like that. And I think that would be really cool, like both audio and video based on your clone that you have there. I think that it's going to be a lot of solutions like that in the future. I think where you can do that in an easy way without being a techie or spending a fortune on doing things like that. Yeah.
yeah, people also use it for business. And I like to mention Alex Hormozy here because I remember one of the videos he did when this thing was just starting, when it was all about AI and hype. He made his team to replace themselves using AI and then come with him and show them the ways uh, they were replacing themselves. So one of these guys actually showed him how to reach out to people, like to do calls outreach, for example, on email or something like that, and
Yeah.
sending welcome videos to all of the clients or to all of the people that he was trying to to turn into a client. And
Awesome.
he's like, "Hey, Alex. Hey, Mia. Hey, blah, blah, blah." And he never said those names, but it was all just because of AI. So there was an original message for all of them. And then they just changed the name and made Alex record yeah, Alex wasn't recording the name. They just made it with AI. But I think that's really nice when people receive a message from you in that really personalized way. So when he was like, hey, you, and he was
Yeah.
telling your name by
No,
name.
I love it, and I love how fast this industry is moving. But just as we're wrapping up this session, like, what's some other tools that you are using, AI tools or something that we haven't mentioned throughout this session? We mentioned a few AI tools, of course, already, but anything else that you like that we haven't talked about?
Some of the tools I use. One that I can say it's pretty cool. It's Submagic. So just look at it that way. I don't know if I can show you, but Submagic helps you to create the subtitles of your videos. So you mentioned short form content. And if you record a podcast and then turn it into these small pieces, it's pretty cool. And this is interesting because I used it for a client and we were making 20 videos. In each video, the cost of each video to generate the subtitles was $15. But with Submagic, the cost of generating it is $1 only.
Per video.
Yeah, per video.
Ah, that's pretty good.
And
Yeah.
it takes you 2 hours. I'm a video editor. I have the background. So it was taking us 2 hours to make each video with the subtitles. But with Submagic, it's just 5 minutes with revisions because it's literally in seconds.
Yeah.
So for me, it's mind blowing the kind of stuff you can really make with this kind of tools.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's awesome. And as we're wrapping up, what's your number one piece of advice you have for a creator, solopreneur, or digital business owner to get into this world of AI and implement this in their creator business?
Um, basically, you are already being left behind if you're not using this. It's not that, oh, it's in the future, you're gonna be left behind. No, you're already into that place. I came in a community with people usually use AI a lot. These guys and the things that they are doing, it's amazing. And so the smart people that is, yeah, the smart guys that are watching this right now and that are going to close everything and go to see the use cases, how they can use it, that are going to sleep thinking about the new possible use cases. They are the ones that are going to succeed. And if you're not thinking about it, then it's game over for you, I guess, because the quality will be really different. And there will be people making, yeah, higher quality things, things with higher quality, and also making smarter things with their time. So, yeah, that's my
Yeah. I
advice.
love it. And thanks so much for coming on here, Celeste. And I will link up your LinkedIn. I think that's the best platform to connect with you, right?
Sure. Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
best
So I
one.
link up that. Check out some of her content. It's amazing. And as you saw here, we have delivered a really actionable session. So you can actually go out there and implement some of this stuff already. Maybe you are creating like YouTube thumbnails, or you want to change your background, and make it a little bit more interesting. Maybe I wanted to add some more greenery. I could do that even with this pretty good background I have here. But so go out and do that. Try some of this. That's kind of how you learn. And then leave your biggest takeaways in the comments for us. So we will check in there. So Leslie will also check in maybe what you do. And yeah, subscribe to the channel for more. Like the video, and I'll see you in the next session. Ciao for now. Bye.